Currently, one of the most important goals in saving wildlife set by the government is saving biological diversity of ecosystems, unique nature preserves and national parks as the country's natural heritage for future generations. To achieve this goal, national parks and reserves have been defined an important role. The Sairm Ugam State National Park was founded in 2006 by merging the Ugamsky, Tolebiisy and Tulkibassky state institutions in charge of protecting forests and wildlife. The aim of creating the Sairm Ugamsky State National Park was saving the common and unique landscapes of Western Tyan Shan in their natural state, a significant part of which is on the territory of the park. Forest is the priceless treasure of the park. On the total territory of 149,000 hectares grow hundreds of rare and endangered kinds of plants. The most frequent plant species here is juniper, different kinds of it such as tree like Zarafshani juniper, Turkestani one. This plant is considered endemic in southern Kazakhstan. Central Asian peoples call this tree archa. By this name they mean most types of pines that grow in the region. Of 60 types of juniper that grow in cold and temperate climates, 21 types are found here in Central Asia, starting from the most eastern gorges of central Tyan Shan to Kapet Dag in the west and the rocks of southern Tajikistan. The largest massifs of the Central Asian juniper grow in the northern slopes of the Altai, Turkestan and Gisar ridges. The belt of the Archa woods here are at the point of 2,200 to 3,200 meters above sea level and occupies the space of several tens of thousands of hectares. In the mountains of Central Asia, Archa woods form a sufficient vegetation system. This is due to the local climatic and soil conditions. Archa is a hardy kind of juniper that grows well even among rocks. With its roots, the plant is capable of expanding cracks in rocks. Archa trees are various in their form and shape, from curved to straight like that of a poplar, or creeping. Some look as curly as apple trees. These forms bring the Archa a mystical look. The local landscapes are spectacular. The park has preserved unique serried Archa woods in the valleys of the rivers Sairam and Ugam. We have three kinds of Archa trees: Zarafshan, Turkestani, the creeping Archa tree, and the third subspecies is called semispherical one. They are the main types of vegetation identifying the base of the wood here. Among the Central Asian plains and sunburned deserts, mountains with their high ridges serve as moisture condensers and of oases of life where one can see the diversity of wildlife. And thus these islands of life play an important role in ecology, scientific studies, history and culture of the region and have recreational value. Tyan Shan is the most northern mountain system in Middle Asia. Through the Zhugar Ridge and Tarbagatai stretches towards Altai and other mountains of southern Siberia and Mongolia. The system spreads further through Pamir, Kunlun and the Karakum and reaches Tibet and the Himalayas. From Pamir and Hindu Kush, it extends as far as Kapet Dag and the Iranian Rock Plateau. All these connections enrich the fauna and flora of Tyan Shan and make the place unique. Here, there was one of the most ancient centers of the human civilization, where there were busy paths of the Great Silk Road that linked the east with the west for many centuries. On the territory of Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan and Tajikistan, within the area of West Tyan Shan, one can come across archaeological and historic evidences of the continuous development of mankind's culture from the Paleolithic era and the era of ancient Greece, medieval times, to the present days. Part of Western Tyan Shan, which is on the territory of Kazakhstan, starts to the south from the Kyrgyz Ridge beyond the Talas Valley. Here rises the chain of Talas Alatau in the Taras city region. The Kazakhstani part of Zhungar Alatau is Jabagli Mountains, that split to two mountain ridges. The latter form the basin of the Aktau and Jabagli rivers. The mountains near Tashkent consist of several ridges that relate to the southwest part of Talas Alatau. The Sairam mountains belong to this chain too, with their highest point, Peak Sairam. The Karatau ridge is situated on the side of Western Tyan Shan. It ranges towards the northeast for 400 kilometers. Its average height is 1,800 meters. Its highest point is Manzhilka. It declines towards northwest, and at the place of the fork of the dried rivers of Sarisu and Chu, the mount turns to a plateau. The national park has rare plants that are endemic to Western Tyan Shan and rare endangered plants and wild animals, and they are all protected by the government of Kazakhstan. For the residents of the Almaty region who have got used to pine woods that grow not far from the city, the vegetation of Western Tyan Shan may look unusual and exotic. Nut, pistacia and archa trees found in the southern Kazakhstan region remind one of fairy tales and relate to the Pamir Alai type. The abundance of wild fruit trees here makes one think about the abundance in the Eden Garden. So diverse the vegetation is here. On the park territory, there are 1,635 kinds of plants, of which 62 kinds are endangered ones and are included in the Red Book of Rare Species. For example, the Zerafshani juniper, the Siever's apple tree, the Petunikov almond tree, and tulips such as the Greig tulip and Kaufman tulip. Kazakhstani part of Western Tyan Shan is inhabited by 59 kinds of mammals. It is well worth noticing that the place is populated with the unique species of the Mansbeer's marmots. They can be found in the basins of the rivers Badam, Ugam and Sairam. The ridge of Karatau is the home for another rare species, the subspecies of Karatau ibex, and one more subspecies of the animal, the Tyan Shan subspecies of ibex, inhabits the slopes of the Talas ridge not far from the Karatau massif. As the national park staff say, the wild Tyan Shan rams from the Aktau Jabagli sanctuary sometimes migrate to the Karatau mountains, crossing the rails that divide the park and the new area. Probably they are forming new hybrid subspecies at the new place. Here you may come across the snowcat, which is in the Red Book of Endangered Species, the Tyan Shan brown bear, which has also been included in this book. Among game species, we have wild boar, Siberian roe deer and the Siberian ibex. The Karatau Mountains have been formed by deposit rocks. There used to be prehistoric ocean bed here, and if you take a closer look at the local rocks, you will recognize the traces of fossilized sea species, for example shark teeth or sea urchin. To see the fascinating world of the wildlife of southern Kazakhstan, one needs to reach the most remote and inaccessible corners of the mountain gorges. The National Park staff conducts a census of the wild animals. Advanced technology allows us to see what happens at the wild side when there is no human around. Our trail cameras automatically spot any animals that approaches the disguised spying equipment. Very few know that in the mountains of southern Kazakhstan a porcupine may be found. It is a peculiar large kind of rodent. Its back is covered with a thick coat of hard needles from 3 to 30 centimeters long. These needles stand on end when there is danger. In Kazakhstan, porcupines are found in southern Mangyshlak, Karatau, Talas, Kyrgyz Alatau and Zaili Alatau. The area of their habitat used to extend to the suburbs of Almaty city in the past. The porcupine is an endangered species and is included in the Red Book of Rare Animals of Kazakhstan. Another representative of the species included in the Red Book is the Karatau mountain ram, one of the rarest subspecies of its kind on the planet. Currently, there are only about 200 animals. The Karatau mountain ram is an endemic species that has a very small area of habitat. They are under threat of becoming completely extinct. For this reason, the animal is included in the International Red List of the animals that need protection and classified as critically vulnerable to extinction. Apart from that, the thoroughbred Karatau mountain ram can be found only here, as there are grounded assumptions that similar species found in the southeast of the country are the hybrid of the Argali goat that appeared as a result of interbreeding of the Karatau and Tyan Shan subspecies. The number of these animals is extremely low now, but provided they are protected appropriately, their population can be revived. From the pass 2,200 meters above sea level over the Ugam Valley, we have a spectacular view. If you come here as a tourist, a guide will probably tell you about an interesting legend about 40 young women that in their attempt to escape from Dzungar conquerors hid in the local gorge. When the enemies found them, the girls turned to stone statues, so scared they were. Generally, southern Kazakhstan is rich in legends about various treasures. One of them says that Genghis Khan dug his precious trophies near the Karatau mountains. Well, experts say it is just a legend. However, another legend about General Osipov's gold might have been true. There are a number of historic facts about this White Army rebel that may prove the possibility of buried treasure that are supported by archive documents and memoirs by eyewitnesses of those days. But the gold itself is a mystery. The Hunan settlement residents are sure that this is the right place where treasure hunters should try their luck. Unfortunately, our cameras fail to show all the beauty of these landscapes. Their deep, sharply cut gorges that are overgrown with junipers bring their own character to the place. There are quite a lot of apple trees, bird cherry trees, aspens and birch trees here. Among all this natural beauty, one has to be careful, as it is quite possible to come across venomous snakes, such as the Asian ground pit viper and the common viper. There are also representatives of reptiles that are not dangerous for us, for example the legless lizard, the grey hecken, that are also the red book species. The true king of these mountains among animals is the Tyan Shan brown bear. It is considered a rare species among subspecies of this kind. This bear has a lighter coat and longer claws. It may weigh up to 200 kilos, but there are larger species than that. The Tyan Shan brown bear inhabits the mountains of Pamir Alai and Tyan Shan. The animals are also found in the Western Himalayas, the Karakum and other mountains of southern Asia. The bears prefer to inhabit juniper and pine woods, mixed with leafy trees and thick bushes of wild berries. However, in the mountains, the bears often migrate up the hill in search of food. In the early spring, they go down to the valley and may leave the forest zone. In summer, they move to the alpine and subalpine zones. The bear's lifespan is up to 30 years. Where the peaks of the mountains scrape the sky, gracious, agile and clever animals are found. Ibex. They are called tauteke here. These animals inhabit the mountains of the Asian continent. Male ibex have large curved horns up to 1.5 meters. Females have significantly shorter horns. Their natural habitat is steep rocks and mountains that are extremely difficult to access. They may rise to the heights of 5,000 meters above sea level. In winter, they go down where the animals look for the last year's grass in the thin layer of snow on the southern slopes. They form small herds from 3 to 5 up to 40 species. The typical herd is a harem of females that is led by the alpha male. The rest stay on their own in smaller groups. The mountains of Western Tyan Shan are a unique site of wild natural landscapes with tall snow caps where Peak Sairam stands out from other peaks and bright blue mountain lakes. One of them is a true jewel of Ugam, Lake Makpal, with its crystal clear spring water. And another fascinating site of natural beauty is the Kyrgyz rocks, or the rocks of 40 virgins, or take the unique grey tulips. These places await to be explored. The biological diversity of these mountains is untold wealth, which should be passed on to future generations and will allow them to save this wide variety of wildlife.